Wake up, Neo. You've been lied to. All I'm going to offer you today is the truth. What if I told you that this life isn't what you think it is? Not just metaphorically, I mean literally. The reality that you see around you, it's not the world, it's your version of it. The Matrix is real, and life is an illusion. Well, technically speaking, everyone's life is an illusion. It's a filtered illusion shaped by your programming, your perceptions, and your projections. You're not seeing reality, you're only perceiving a microscopic sliver of it. And once you understand how this matrix we live in actually works, you can stop being a prisoner of this dream and start becoming the dreamer again. There's one principle that I'm going to share with you in this video that's going to wake you up from the matrix and help you to start designing your reality from the inside out. The thing is, this might go over most people's heads, so if you don't understand what I'm about to share, you're going to spend your entire life fighting against the ripple effect instead of being the one creating it. You'll be like someone trying to fix a bad song by smashing in the speaker, completely missing where the real problem lies. Or you'll stay trapped in what I like to call the feedback loop from hell, reacting to your current reality, which reinforces your internal state, which then recreates the same outcomes, which then confirms the same beliefs, on and on and on, and your life is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, which we don't want. You'll be one of those people like me in the past, working harder and harder and harder, grinding longer, and wondering why your external world doesn't seem to change no matter how much effort you're putting in. This video, The Matrix is Real, is literally going to shatter everything you think you know about how reality works. If you've ever felt stuck or lost or like your efforts didn't lead to lasting change, this is going to be the video that explains why. So please do yourself and me a favor, pay attention to this video. Leave your notes in the comments below. This video is the difference between being a victim of your circumstances and becoming the conscious creator of them. I spent years feeling like life was happening to me, caught up in a loop of chaos, frustration, and false hope. And after experimenting with the essence of what I'm going to share here today, I was finally able to become the author of my own story and the main character of my life, rather than wondering where the hell is this story going to go and why is it so damn hard and chaotic. Also, I'm going to be sharing with you a manifestation process today. It's the same ones that I've been helping my clients with to break through to higher levels of income, happiness, and progress than they've ever experienced before. For example, my client Dylan, who at the time of recording this is on track to beat his best month by $5,000 to $10,000. Or Hayden, who's taking his marketing agency from $1.5 million to $3 million, and after going through this process was able to add $40,000 of monthly recurring revenue and attract A-player talent to his team to build his business. By the way, if you'd like to learn more about subconscious reprogramming and manifestation systems that actually produce results, you can learn more in the description. Also, before we jump in, I have to note today's video was inspired by another creator who makes videos on this same topic, who recently released a book called Outsmarting Reality, which was super incredible. So shout out to Nero Knowledge. And thank you, brother, for your information and your wisdom. I really enjoyed the book. By the way, what up, family? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Chris. I made $1 million in my business by the time I was 25, and now I'm documenting the lessons that I'm learning on the path to making $1 million a year doing what I love. On this channel, I share simple, proven strategies around mindset, productivity, manifestation, and what I'm learning in business that have helped me and hundreds of other people win. So if you want to get out of your own way and finally start winning at the level you know you're capable of in this life, make sure you subscribe. Okay, let's jump in. If it's cool with you, let me blow your mind for a second. You only see around you less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. You are literally blind to most of what actually exists all around you right now. But that's not even the craziest part. Your brain acts as a filter based on your own perceptions, programming, and projections. It's something called the reticular activating system, and it selectively chooses what is revealed to you in your reality. So not only are you missing 99% of what's actually here, but then your brain is filtering that tiny 1% based on your own existing beliefs and expectations. You probably heard this analogy, but think about it. Have you ever noticed how when you're thinking about buying a certain car, all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere? The cars have always been there. It's not that just all of a sudden duplicated into this world. It's just that your brain wasn't filtering for you to see them. And the same thing happens with opportunities, with problems, with people, with money, with everything. Morpheus from The Matrix said it best. What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste, and what you can see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. So just off the cuff, reality is stranger than fiction if you ask me. So here's what most people don't understand. There are actually 3 layers of reality. And unfortunately, most people are stuck operating from the weakest of the 3. Understanding these 3 planes of reality and learning to work with them instead of against them is going to be the secret to you breaking free from the matrix and becoming the conscious creator of your own reality. So these 3 planes are physical, mental, and spiritual. And most people are stuck in one of these 3 planes. Most people are stuck in the physical, some in the mental, some in the spiritual. I'll explain in a second. I just want to clarify, this isn't some new age bullshit that someone or myself made up. This understanding has been taught by spiritual masters, quantum physicists, and consciousness researchers for centuries. You can look at anything from Hermeticism to Christianity to Buddhism and everything in between and find examples of what I'm going to be talking about here today. The mystics knew it. The ancient philosophers knew it. Modern science is finally catching up to what the wise ones have always understood, that reality is far more malleable and interactive than what we've been taught. So one quick example is the law or principle of correspondence taught in Hermetic philosophy. As above, so below. As below, so above. And also, as within, so without. So the principle of correspondence states that there is a harmonious and direct correspondence or relationship between the various planes of existence, from the physical to the mental to the spiritual, as well as from our own internal state to the external. So basically, to make this super simple, your life is like a mirror, and it's basically just a printout, a 3D printout of causes or things that you've been carrying somewhere along these 3 planes of reality. Let me show you what I mean. When you're trying to create change in your life, where do you focus most of your energy? Do you focus, like I used to, on just working harder, just grinding it out? Or maybe on thinking more? Like, if I can just think through this, I'll figure it out? Or maybe you're one of those people who just pray and meditate all day. So when things aren't going well, is your first instinct to push harder externally, to try and think through a better solution, or to pray on it and see what happens? When you want to make more money, do you focus on taking the actions to make more money? Or do you focus on strategizing new ways you could make money? Or do you focus on, begging or asking God in the universe to bring you more money? Your answer to those questions is going to reveal which of these 3 planes you primarily operate on, and also why you might be stuck. A big mistake I used to make, and I see people make all the time, is they're getting pissed off at the physical plane, and they're trying to change their reality or change their circumstances by working on the physical plane, which is the plane of effects, meaning it comes after the other 2. It's like they're trying to change the reflection without changing what is creating that reflection in the first place. Or, like if you were like in a house of mirrors, trying to fix your appearance by adjusting the mirrors instead of adjusting your own appearance. Let's talk about the physical plane. Most people that are workaholic primarily operate from the physical plane. Overthinkers operate from the mental plane. And the people who are more like spiritual bypassers, you could say, that spend most of their time, begging God for help or meditating on things, are stuck in the spiritual plane. But the problem is that none of these really work in isolation. You need all 3. So what I'm not saying is that the physical plane doesn't matter. Of course, we need to take action. We're in the 3D world for a reason. Otherwise, we'd just be spirits in the ether. I'm also not suggesting you just visualize and meditate your way into success while sitting on your couch with Cheeto dust in your belly button. That's stupid. What I am saying is that when you align all 3 of these planes, the spiritual, the mental, and the physical, you're going to stop fighting against the current of your life and start flowing with it. You'll stop pushing and start pulling. Reality is basically going to start responding to you instead of you reacting to it all the time. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, I write about cool shit like this and send it out to my readers every week. You can join my newsletter in the description. Now, let's just quickly jump into how each of these planes of reality or layers of reality work. We first have the physical plane. And again, that's where most people live their life. This is what we traditionally called reality. It's what you can see, touch, and measure. That's what exists on the physical plane. It's reflected by the physical expressions of your results, such as the way your body looks, the amount of money in your bank account, the people or things you associate with, and your environment as a whole. But remember, this is the realm of effects, not causes, meaning it's the end of the dominoes, so to speak. So trying to change things on the physical level and getting pissed at your reality is like trying to fix a shitty song by, shooting a speaker. The song still sucks. Now the speaker's just broken. And it's not that taking action or participating on the physical realm is a total waste of time. It's that we must recognize that our actions on the physical are a ripple effect caused by what's happening on the mental and spiritual planes. Action is informed by or created by what is going on in these other two planes. Again, what you see in your physical world is just a 3D printout. It's the latest screenshot of what your internal world is doing on these other two planes of existence. So your bank account balance, a reflection of your beliefs about money, the unhealthy relationship you might be in, a mirror to your own internal self-worth, that burnout you're experiencing. It's an alarm from ignoring your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So again, people operating from the physical plane, they tend to be the workaholics of the bunch, grinding as hard as possible, working longer hours and just super, super hard, hoping that alone is going to change things. But the problem is that they're fighting against the current. You can swim as long as you want or as hard as you want, but eventually you're going to drown. You're never going to address what's creating the tide in the first place. You can't change the effect, you can only change the causes. To harness the power of physical realm of reality, take inspired action based on the intuitive, aka spiritual pings or the mental nudges that you receive as quickly as possible. And that's when you know that you're doing the most you can on the physical plane, when the action was inspired by the mental and the spiritual. So we talked about the physical plane. Now let's talk about the mental plane. The mental plane is the plane of thoughts, feelings, and imagination. So most people on this plane, they think that they're thinking. They're overthinkers. But in reality, they're just looping 95% of the same thoughts they had yesterday. The mental plane is also where self-sabotage lives and is created. It's where the limiting beliefs, the subconscious programming, and all the things that cause you to self-sabotage live. It's almost like on the mental plane, you potentially might have some viruses running in the background that are tripping you up. But this is also where you can install new software. You can change your story here, your beliefs, the way you think about yourself and the world and the thoughts that you think and everything else like that, the things that you imagine in your mind, and then everything on the physical world will begin to change and follow that. But the problem is a lot of people get stuck here. If you're operating primarily from the mental plane, you're going to just be an overthinker, stuck in your mind, mentally masturbating without actually taking action and hoping that things will just magically work out. But unfortunately, they won't. People stuck on the mental plane handicap the process of creation by avoiding the work required to manifest, stopping the flow of energy from the spiritual to the physical by getting it stuck on the mental plane and overthinking constantly. To harness the power of the mental plane, we have to become aware of our predominant thinking and feeling patterns, or our thought and our emotional patterns, and then begin to consciously choose new versions of those, new thoughts and new emotions that match our desired physical reality. I'm going to dive more into this in just a second when we go through the manifestation process, but I just wanted to at least quickly touch on that. So let's just quickly talk now about spiritual. That's the last layer before we get into the manifestation process. The spiritual layer or realm is the most abstract but also powerful layer of the three. It's the real you behind your mind. People have called it the observer, the creator, the field of consciousness or awareness, which is why the scriptures quoted, "For indeed, the kingdom of God is within you." That's Luke 17:21. So the spiritual is that kingdom of God within you. Your spirit resides here. The way I've heard it is like a drop of water taken from the ocean. You can be taken out of the ocean, but you're still made of the same water. Some people call that water God, source, spirit, the universe. But in my opinion, to try to name the infinite is a human game. From the spiritual layer, we step out of the confines and the drama of the 3D reality and our own neuroticism of our mind. The spiritual is the source of energy that, when used mentally, allows us to create physically. This is the layer that Deepak Chopra, if I'm saying his name right, says is the field of pure potentiality, which is where pure awareness and pure energy resides. So the more that you access the spiritual plane, the more effortless life is going to become. You don't have to force things anymore. You can learn to flow. You basically align with your spiritual self, and then everything will work out on the mental and the physical plane. But again, you can't just operate from the spiritual plane for a few reasons. One, you're in a physical body for a reason. Again, if you were meant to just be this like enlightened spiritual person, you wouldn't have incarnated into a human body in the first place. You need to learn how to work with all three layers. And people primarily operating from the spiritual layer tend to avoid responsibility for their own reality and leave it up to God, like praying and begging constantly, but while sitting on the sidelines of their own life. It's like the parable of the drowning man. I recommend you look it up. Basically, he refuses the boats that God sent to save him because he's drowning, and therefore misses the opportunities right in front of him to be saved. So to tap into the power of the spiritual, we just simply need to create some form of daily spiritual practice, which can be something like meditation, prayer, contemplation, something that allows us to connect to and harness that field of pure energy, pure awareness, or in other words, go within to the kingdom of God within you. Before I teach you the manifestation process, so you can put what you learned into action and begin creating the outcomes, the circumstances, and manifesting the things that you actually want, I just want to say we forget the truth that reality that we see is an effect. It's the aftermath of old causes, old energy from the spiritual, old thoughts and feelings from the mental, and old actions from the physical. Pain, happiness, success, failure, wealth, or poverty are all the end result of this ripple effect. They're the reflection in the mirror, so to speak. It's the end of the chain of events that we've already co-created. You can't reach through the mirror and change the reflection you see. You can't reach through your mirror and fix your hair or put on lipstick, but you can do that to yourself outside of the mirror, right? You can't change the effect, the reflection. You can only change the cause. So everything that you experience is simply a deeper reflection or the aftermath of something much deeper. What Earl Nightingale called your attitude. Your repeated thoughts, feelings, and actions projected out onto the canvas of reality. Trying to change the outside without changing the inside is like trying to remove smoke without putting out the fire. So when we align the spiritual with the mental, then we can start to step off the hamster wheel and access our infinite potential. And then when we align the mental with the physical, we can begin to change the reflection we see because we're controlling and improving our thoughts and our feelings. But when we take the spiritual and we align that with the mental, and then we align that with the physical, and we're using all three in harmony, this is when miracles begin to happen. Like holy shit moments. As within, so without. And that's why I used to feel so stuck, so pissed off all the time. Like, what the fuck? Why is life happening to me? Why can't I catch a break? Fuck my life. Like all those things people say, they're just so negative. I was caught in a loop, a pattern of chaos, of frustration, false hope, just to be let down by myself and by life. No matter how hard I was working, my results didn't change. But the moment that I stopped reacting to reality and started reprogramming my mind while connecting to my spirit, everything shifted because I started to control the causes rather than get pissed off at the effects or the aftermath. It's like I stopped being the prisoner of some nightmare and I became the dreamer again. So I just want to talk about this, what I just described, which I call the feedback loop from hell. I don't want you to get stuck there. Reality is a mirror, and it's always reflecting your dominant patterns back to you. So the feedback loop from hell is this. You react to your current reality, like you're pissed off about things not going your way or how you want them to, or you're just bummed about your life, which then reinforces the internal state that created it in the first place, which then causes you to recreate the same outcomes, which then only reconfirms those limiting and negative beliefs, and on and on and on. The only way out is to interrupt the cycle. Stop reacting to what the mirror shows you. Forget about the mirror. Forget about reality, so to speak. If the mirror isn't smiling at you, you have to smile first. I first heard that quote from a shaman in Costa Rica when I went there to work with ayahuasca, and then I also saw it in Nero's book, so I thought that was a really cool synchronicity. So if you don't get stuck in the feedback loop to hell, now you can actually start to win in the matrix, and I'm going to teach you what I believe is the secret to winning in this matrix. Since reality, also known as a matrix, is an illusion or a projection, whatever makes you feel better, let's talk about how you can win in the matrix. You don't have to hustle harder on the physical. You don't have to think until you fry your mind on the mental, and you don't have to pray and wait on the spiritual. You can cheat the matrix from within. And now I'm going to teach you the simplified and highly effective manifestation process. So real quick, before we talk about my manifestation process, I just want to teach you the secret to manifestation. And it's this. You're not manifesting outcomes. You're not manifesting results, the things that you say that you want to manifest. You're manifesting states of being, which is you're manifesting the thoughts and the feelings that you would experience if you already had what you want. So an analogy I love from the book, imagine you're ordering at a restaurant and you're looking at the menu, but instead of paying with money, you can only order the food that matches your energy. So before you can even order that steak or that salad, you have to match the energy of the food that you actually want. And then the coolest part is that then it will be delivered to your table. That's exactly how manifestation works. Once more, the goal is to feel your desired reality before it shows up, to see the reflection in the mirror before it's even here, to the point where your mind and your body begin to accept it as real, and then do whatever is necessary to make it real. Once that happens, you will manifest what you want. So in this quick process, we're going to nail down 3 key things. Desire, which is what is it you actually want? Identity, which is who is the version of you that already has what you want? And the third is your state. What is the energetic frequency that you'd experience upon manifesting what you want? And your state, to make it simple, is your thoughts and your feelings, okay? So this is going to create that ripple effect across all 3 layers or planes of reality. You're using that energy from the spiritual to attune yourself to the right frequency. The mental, you're changing your identity to match the reality that you want. And then the physical, because you're going to begin acting as if, and then guess what? The results will follow. So here's a quick breakdown of the process. The first step is to define your desired reality. Step 1 could also be known as identify your burning desire, for my Napoleon Hill fans out here. So you just really want to ask yourself, like, what is it that I want? In your personal life, what do you want? In your professional life, what you want? In your financial life, what do you want? Be very specific. Like, not, oh, I want to make more money, but maybe it's, I want to make $250,000 this year rocking 6-pack abs at the beach in Bali. Or it's, I want to work 25 hours a week, earn $50,000 per month, and go on 4 vacations with my family. Or maybe for you, it's, I want to build my dream business, start working remotely so I can quit my soul-sucking job and start living how I actually want to live. Whatever it is that you want, think very big and be super specific. And then step 2, you want to define your ideal identity, also known as self-image. And the simplest way to do this is to ask yourself, who is the version of myself that already has what I want? Are they an entrepreneur? Are they an athlete? Are they an investor? What kind of character traits do they have? Are they disciplined, charismatic, authentic? What do they look like, talk like, dress like, speak like? Paint a vivid picture of this new version of yourself. It's almost like creating a character in a video game. You literally design your character to match the things that you want. And then the third step, you want to assume the feelings now. For my Neville Goddard fans, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, or feel how you would feel if you already had the things that you want, but right now, not later. So you simply ask yourself, how would I feel if I already manifested what I want? And from Nero's book, really great example, imagine someone seeing you in public and being like, holy shit, dude, I've been watching your journey for the last year. How did you do it? Like, how you made this much money? I saw you post a photo in Bali or whatever the thing is. You want to get clear. How does it feel to celebrate it in advance? How do you feel? Grateful, proud, calm, on fire? Like, are you just fucking pumped? You're like, yes. I'll give an example about the car that I want, the Mercedes C63S. Like, I feel so pumped and grateful when I think and feel about that car. The red seatbelts, the freaking V8 engine. Like, I just get so geeked about it. That's what you got to do. Define your desired reality. What is it that I want? Who do you have to become, or who is the version of you that already has that? And what are the feelings associated with those things? And then write down those feelings. Like, literally, is it gratitude? Is it joy? Is it passion, relief? Sink into that feeling of it being done in advance. You want to make it realer than real inside of you. And when you do this, your brain and your body don't know a difference. They literally believe it's already happened. And this updates your frequency accordingly. And like that example of ordering food, you begin to match the vibration and frequency of the things you want. So now you can order them in real life. And then step number 4, now that you've got these 3 things figured out, you want to anchor it with a statement. Okay. So this statement is like a personal mantra, or I like to think of like a battle cry, at the very least, a reminder. What is it that I want? Who am I becoming? How do I feel when I have it? So for those of you who are Bob Proctor fans, you probably heard of his, I am so happy and grateful now that desire, whatever the thing is that you want. So my process is you take your identity and your desired reality and then your emotions. So for example, I am, who are you? What's the identity? Because the thing is that for all these results to come through, you first have to see yourself as that person. So an example of putting this all together for one of my clients. I'm an elite entrepreneur, athlete, and investor receiving $10,000 a month, working 5 hours per day, doing work that I love. My clothes fit my Hollywood physique like a glove, and I'm having the time of my life traveling, having new experiences, and growing each day. I feel at peace and full of gratitude. So just as an example, you saw how I tied these things together in this like mantra, this battle cry. So when I say that to myself, or my client says that to themselves, they are taken back to this place. They match that frequency. They get that clear mental picture, and they generally just feel incredible. It reminds them, why am I doing this all in the first place? And the real secret is that once you have this put together, you want to repeat it as often as possible, whenever it feels right, both in your head and out loud, but not just say the words or think the words, but the feelings. That's the key, the feelings. And I'm going to add another step, step 5. And I think this one's most important. Now you let go and show up like it's yours. If you repeat this mantra and you visualize people congratulating you for achieving it every single day, and all the other things, like for example, me visualizing the car that I want, or seeing $100,000 being received in my bank account every single month. The more you do this, the more it feels normal, and you kind of just expect it. Like it takes the edge off. The more normal that it feels, the less that you need it to happen. And that's actually when the results start to show up. That's when the matrix delivers you what you want. So give it a try and let me know what you think. As we discussed today, the matrix is real, but you now know how to work with it instead of being trapped by it. It's no longer a prison. It's a choose your own adventure type of game. Reality is a mirror reflecting back to you your dominant patterns, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, and how in tune you are with your spiritual energy. And the only way out of what we talked about earlier, that feedback loop from hell, is to interrupt the cycle. Stop reacting to what the mirror shows you. If the mirror isn't smiling, you have to smile first. Change the actual causes and you'll get a new effect. You don't win in this matrix by hustling harder or thinking until you fry your mind, or just praying and waiting and begging God, oh, please save me. No, you cheat the matrix from within by aligning your spiritual, your mental, and your physical. As Morpheus famously told Neo, and I'm going to tell you, you have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind. Stop reacting to the old version of you and the life that they created. Start walking as the one who's already won, and begin enjoying your desires being delivered to you by the universe. Be sure to comment below your notes and takeaways from this video. Subscribe if you thought this was a fun and valuable video. Don't forget to check out my newsletter in the description if you want to read about stuff like this each and every week. And lastly, if you're ready to break your income ceiling and you want to learn how I took my best month from $12,000 to $92,000 using subconscious programming and manifestation systems that actually produce results, you can apply to be mentored by me down below. All right, family, much love. I will see you in the next one.